Hey, sweet friends, and welcome back to another episode of It's a Beautiful Day to Homeschool. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who are new to the show, this podcast is for new homeschool families and for those of you in your precious elementary years who just want to do this well and without all the overwhelm. So, around here, I believe that homeschooling does not have to look like school at home. It can be gentle, meaningful, and built right around your everyday life. So each episode, I talk about the simple teaching rhythms, early learning, building confidence as a new homeschool parent, and creating days that feel peaceful instead of pressured. So whether you're starting out or finding your footing, you'll find encouragement, practical ideas, and a reminder that you're not alone. So today's episode is one of those ones that will explain some of the mistakes that I made as a new homeschool parent years ago and what I have learned along the way. So take a deep breath, grab your cup of coffee, and let's build a homeschool life that feels joyful and doable because truly it is a beautiful day to homeschool. So today we're going to talk about the homeschool mistakes that I wish I would have avoided my first couple years and how you can skip them as well. So the very first thing that I did as a new homeschool parent when I decided to homeschool and have my kids stay home is I tried to recreate what I would consider the traditional school or the public school lifestyle at home. Now, if you've watched a couple of my other podcasts, you've heard the story about the schoolroom and how it didn't work. So just to go through that again. I looked through Pinterest. I found all these beautiful ideas to decorate, our brand new homeschool room, which was our fourth bedroom. And my son hated it, absolutely hated it. And it only took 2 days to figure that out. So I will not go fully into that story because that story is in, I believe, one or two different podcast episodes. But it's just a reminder that with homeschooling, you have freedom. You have so much flexibility that you do not have to recreate a traditional or public school setting at home. You actually don't want to. It's going to hurt it more than it's going to make it, feel fun or enjoyable because life happens. We have doctor's appointments. We have grocery runs we need to do. We have play dates that pop up out of nowhere. And nobody wants to miss a good play date. I mean, really, who are the play dates for? They're for us, not for the kids. So it's things like that you have to remember that it is okay for your school day to not look like a traditional school day, to not make it look like a public or private school day, to not start at 8 a.m. and finish at 3 because there's no need to go that long. Another thing to keep in mind is you don't have to have a super strict schedule. Again, freedom and flexibility. Things are going to pop up as long as you get, like for us, as long as we get reading in and math in, I'm okay. We can do the rest, another day. I don't touch on all subjects every day. I have not from the very beginning, and I will not because it is too much and they're not comprehending it. It's just going in one ear and out the other. So I don't do that. We also take Fridays off. We have fun family Fridays. That's when we try and plan our play dates. That's when we do our field trips, is on those Fridays. And so the big takeaway from this one, on not recreating public school at home is learning doesn't have to happen at a desk. It doesn't have to happen at the dining room table. Sorry, my child is outside with her sheep, working her sheep for fair. So that is a good example of how learning doesn't always have to happen inside a house. It happens outside the house as well. Another big thing that I did right at the beginning, again, it's in another podcast as well, is buying too much curriculum. We are suckers for shiny objects. Like we get sucked in and we're like, ooh, I have to have it. And I was like that. I literally, the first curriculum that I bought was I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty much how to get your kids outside and play. I mean, they're kids. When I bought this, my oldest was in kindergarten. They just want to go outside and play. And I thought because it was a shiny new curriculum and it was beautiful and it looked like so much fun, that my kids would enjoy this. And then I got home and realized I literally bought a curriculum to teach my kids to go outside and play. Nowadays, you may actually need that because I feel like our kids, or a lot of kids, are more prone to being inside and wanting to be in electronic. And I know a lot of us are doing our best to make sure that doesn't happen. But we do not need all these nice, shiny new curriculums. We don't. We don't need all these workbooks. and worksheets. I'm a sucker for workbooks and worksheets. I'm like, the kids will love these. They're beautiful. They're colorful. It's fun. But what looks fun to me is not always fun for them. What really needs to happen, I feel like, is remembering that learning what your child truly needs and building off that. So on TikTok this past week, I had posted a reel that was, what is one life skill that you were never taught that you would teach your child at home? The answers are similar, and I agree 100% with them. A lot of them is money, finances, cooking, laundry, that kind of thing. And I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. If you want, you can jump on my TikTok. It's Homeschool Mom on the Farm. I'm telling you, these ladies on there are amazing. I love following them. I love seeing their stories. I love hearing new things that I didn't know. I've been homeschooling my kids for almost 7 to 8 years now, and I learn something new, I feel like, every week. But yeah, just learning what your child truly needs. Okay, our children need to learn how to cook, at least in my opinion. So I am big into that this year. I'm going to start teaching my kids how to do laundry into this next year. My husband and I discovered that I don't know how to patch and change a tire. I'm 40. So we're going to learn that together. He's going to teach me and the kids are going to be there. We're all going to learn together because it is a skill that I, as a mom that's always traveling with my kids, I need to know how to do. So don't buy all those curriculums because they're shiny and pretty and beautiful, because honestly, you may not use them or all of them. And that's okay. Another big one, and this could be a deal breaker, is comparing our homeschool to somebody else's homeschool. I promise you that is going to be the last thing you want to do. You don't even really want to compare your kids to each other, especially when it comes to learning. So if we compare our homeschool to everyone else's, we're going to be miserable. Are we not doing enough? Well, how come they're doing this? Maybe they're using this curriculum. I should look into this. Well, maybe the curriculum that they're using isn't meant for your children. Maybe their learning style is different from your kid's learning style. And I know I see a lot on social media, and it's getting better. I'll say it's getting better. Social media used to portray a beautiful homeschool room with all these beautiful bookshelves or built-in shelves, and everything's color-coded. And you just have this, 6x6 big table in the middle that everybody sits at, and schooling just looks amazing. That is what I saw when I first started. And that's what I wanted to replicate, was that beautiful homeschool room. And I got stressed out when I couldn't do it. I didn't have the room for that. And then, well, I should color code my stuff. Well, then things are getting lost. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But nowadays, I love the fact that I am seeing homeschool moms being real. They have papers all over their house. Their kids are making messes like crazy. Like, to me, this is real homeschooling right here. Your kid starts on one thing and then they're switching to another, but they didn't put the one thing away. Like, the table's not always clean. There's cutouts and construction paper everywhere. That is a normal homeschool day to me. At least to me. I don't know about everybody else, but to me. So don't always believe everything that you see online, obviously. And then again, going back to, well, they're using this curriculum, maybe I should look into it. Every family learns differently. Every family homeschools differently. I have a really good friend that they are road schooling. And granted, I don't think I could do that. I don't want to live in a camper. I tried it for 6 months and it was not fun. Granted, we were stationary, but road schooling looks amazing. It really does. But I personally don't think I could do it. My kids may enjoy it. They may get car sick. I don't know. But everybody's families learn differently and they homeschool differently. When I was a homeschool counselor, I talked to some families that both parents work. And so they would homeschool on the weekends only, or they would homeschool in the evenings. And again, that wouldn't work for us in our lifestyle. So we really just need to focus in on our own goals as a family and goals of our students individually. And that's going to help take that comparison out of there. And I promise it will give you so much, moments of, this is working for us, and not the stress that needs to be put on there to look like somebody else's homeschool days, because we don't need that. We don't want that. And going right into the next mistake I made was trying to make my days look perfect. And I'm still kind of bad at that. I try to remember that my kids are kids. And shoot, as an adult, I make mistakes all the time. And my kids even came in here in the middle of this podcast and was like, "Oh, what's your podcast about today?" I'm like, "I love you guys, but give me a couple minutes." And I was like, "But you know what?" I'm like, "Today's podcast is about mistakes and the mistakes that I made and the mistakes that I am learning from and how I can help somebody else." And they're like, "You tell people about your mistakes?" Well, yeah, because we're all human. We all make mistakes and we learn from them. So my kids are surprised that I am going on about my mistakes that I've made. But if we expect everything to go perfectly every day, we're just setting ourselves up for failure. I mean, realistically, you are setting yourself up for failure if you think every day is going to go perfect. When the weather is beautiful, and I'm talking like 60 to 70s and it's sunny, the last thing I want to do is sit inside and teach school. So we put the books away and we go outside. We go play. And then they come back later in the day and I kick myself like, oh, we should have done school. No, we needed that break. We did. We needed that break. So yes, I may get frustrated at the end of the day that we didn't get school done, but then I need to turn around and say, okay, what did my kids learn today from being outside? Because I guarantee you they learned something new. So days are going to be different. They're going to be, last minute changes. Bad days happen. My kids are very vocal in a good way. We teach them that communication is the key to a healthy relationship, not only with their parents and each other, but with their future spouses. I want our kids to communicate with us and let us know when something is just not working. And my son did that this past school year, and it was amazing. And he is very quiet, but he really felt the need to be like, Mom, I need out of this workbook. I need out of my math book. And I said, okay, let's do this. And I text my husband at work and I was like, all right, he's asking to get out of the book. Like, we need some ideas. And my husband is a mastermind at that. He's amazing at coming up with ideas. But my son went out and he started measuring the swing set. He wants to rip down the swing set and build a new one. So he's taking all the measurements from the previous one to know how big he should make the next one. So it's not super big, but it's not super small. So I'm just giving them these freedoms to try something new, and it may be a total bust. Or it may go good. We don't know unless we try. Again, this is where flexibility is such an amazing thing when it comes to homeschooling. Because in public school, they're not just going to say, okay, close your book and go outside. No. So we have that option to let them do that. Now we have sick days just like everybody else. And I used to tell a lot of families when I counseled was if somebody in the family is sick, don't even open the book. Put some educational shows on. The Wildcrats is amazing. My kids loved that show. They still will watch a couple episodes. YouTube, if you have parental advisory or parents are there with you, of course. YouTube has some amazing shows for kids. There's, I believe it's Homeschool Pop is one of them. But just lay there with them, cuddle with them, read to them, and let them watch educational shows. They're still learning. So the day didn't go like we expected. We didn't expect our kids to wake up sick, but we can still try a little bit, or we can just take the day and take it off. And tomorrow's a new day. So don't forget those when, winter rolls around again and the kids are catching colds and they're getting the flu. Don't even worry about school. We can get to it tomorrow. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is how much, especially in the beginning, we forget to enjoy the journey. And I say in the beginning, but I need that friendly reminder now as well, 7 to 8 years into this. I forget to enjoy the journey. I do. I get so caught up in, okay, we need to get school done. Let's just go through the rhythm. That's not always what it should be about. This homeschool journey is about building relationships with your kid. It's about making the memories. It's about celebrating the small wins. And we have a lot of small wins as homeschool families. We do. We also have big wins as well. But if we are just going through the rhythm of let's open the book, let's do the math, let's do the language, let's do history, let's do science, we're just going through the motions. I bet they're not enjoying it. And I'm not going to either. And so this one is a friendly reminder to myself because we are going to start up again here in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks fully, that I need to remember to enjoy the journey because I know if I'm not enjoying it, they're not enjoying it. And that's a big one. That is a huge one. So tips for you guys if you are thinking about homeschooling or looking into it, start simple. Start with 1 or 2 subjects. Start with reading and math. Do that for a couple weeks. And if they're ready for something else, maybe pull in some science or history, whatever they want, because we want them to have a say as well. If they're into science, let's start pulling in science maybe 1 or 2 days a week. If they are into art or want to learn music, let's try and pull that in maybe 1 or 2 days a week. So if you start simple and start slow, you have room to make mistakes, but you also have lots of room to critique it and fix it and make it your own. You have lots of room for that free time and imagination for your child to be a child and to start enjoying and finding that love for learning. It starts young. It does. It is hard to bring them back into that when they're older and they didn't enjoy it. So it's easier to start them young. Also, give yourself grace. As a homeschool parent, we don't always find the time to give ourselves grace. We get frustrated, we get stressed. Take a moment. I don't know whether it's a half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, or at lunchtime when the kids are eating. Step away, take a breath, and give yourself grace. Tomorrow's a new day. Another thing that sometimes helps is evaluating what works every few months. And I have figured this one out probably in the last 2 years because what was working at the beginning of the year, as our kids are getting older, I mean, mine are in that age where we're starting to hit the wonderful puberty. And what worked at the beginning of the year is just frustrating them and bringing them to tears, and it is not working now. And we need to pivot. Evaluate every couple months. That will help. And bring your kiddos in on those evaluations. How are they doing? Are there things that they're doing amazing at? Are there things that they need extra time at? And talk to them about it, because that's when you're going to find out they're like, I absolutely love the fact that we switched this, English curriculum, but I felt like I was learning more with the other one. Okay, I wouldn't have known that because you seem to enjoy this one, but I didn't realize that you were retaining more from the other one. So it's conversations like that every couple months. Again, it builds a relationship with you and your kiddo, but it helps you understand how they're doing and if you need to pivot. But going into that is remember that progress matters over perfection. So yes, we love a beautiful homeschool day. We love when days go amazing. We love when people will talk to our kids and we're like, man, like your kids know a lot. They do, but that's because we focus more on the progress and them understanding and retaining what they're learning than getting through the material faster. And that is huge for us because yes, we may finish every book we have, but we school year round. Now this year I did not. My daughter was struggling a little bit in math and struggling a little bit with her language. And I closed the books back in April and I haven't opened them since. And I'm not going to. We are focusing this summer on multiplication. And again, just did a TikTok reel yesterday on playing a multiplication war because my son is pretty good at multiplication and she is struggling a little bit, but he can always use a refresher. And they love card games. So they came up with their own and they go over it until she's got it. And I will say, because we did have a very busy June, we took a lot of June off. And now I see why she's struggling because she's like me. When I was in public school and I took summer off, I struggled getting back into it. I always felt behind. So this way, before we start back into a math book or a workbook, we're going to make sure she's got that multiplication down because I don't want her to feel like she's, not understanding and just going through the motions to get through it because that's not what it's about. Again, it's remembering that progress matters more than the perfection. So please keep in mind, every homeschool family makes mistakes. And if they tell you they haven't, I'm going to call them out on it because they probably have. I'm going to guarantee 100% of the families have made a mistake. That doesn't mean you're failing. I know that often the moments that you help build that homeschool, can seem like failing because we're testing the waters. Is this working? Is that working? But that's how you're finding out what's going to work for your kiddo. It doesn't happen, or it doesn't always happen right at the beginning. The first year is like a trial and error. It's going to be tough. You've got to find what works. But if you don't try, you'll never know. So if I could start over, I would honestly say I would try and worry less about everything being right and spend more time enjoying that incredible opportunity that I have to learn alongside my children. So with that, if you find this episode encouraging, share it with another homeschool mom who might need deep breaths today or a little bit more encouragement or just who's feeling a little bit unsure. You can always come find me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I'm Homeschool Mom on the Farm, and I love celebrating these wins with you. I love offering encouragement and walking through this homeschool journey with you. And that is why sharing some of my mistakes may help you not make those same mistakes and have a smoother transition into your homeschool journey. So until next time, remember, it is a beautiful day to homeschool.